Get ready with your notebooks because I'm about to tell you about 7 art books that are going to take you from beginner to pro artist, and you'll be able to get these books on Amazon. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Gabriel Stockton, and on this channel, we talk about watercolor. Alright, so as an instructor, I get this question during my workshops and my classes, and that question is, Gabriel, what are the books that you own? Who are the people that you've learned from? And even though this comes off as a loaded question, I'm not going to dodge the bullet anymore. I'm going to go ahead and release my book vault to you guys. Well, not my book vault, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you about 7 books I definitely think you guys should know. What I promise and hope to share today in this review is some books that are educational, some that are inspirational. We're gonna dig deep into some vintage books that are still available. We're going to dive into some newer books that have been published fairly recently. And we're going to definitely, let me just look at my notes. And yes, I'm going to show you some books that are affordable and some that you might have to save some of your art sales to buy this one particular book. And so without any further ado, let's get started and let's talk about the 7 books that it's going to take you from being a beginner to a pro artist. All right, let's do this. All right, the first book up is The Art of Perspective by Phil Metzger. And this is a wonderful book. Alright, forget everything you know or what you don't know about perspective. Let's dive into this book. It was a huge struggle with me, perspective. Look at all this continents that you could learn from. I like this book because it's not just drawing. There's painting going on in here. How cool is that, right? So I struggled with knowing perspective, and it's taken me a while. So it's a good arsenal to have in your library. I highly recommend you getting all up in this book. You can grab this book. If you already have it, put down in the comments what you think of this book. Is it good, or do you know even a better one? I needed a book that started simple and then gradually moved into techniques that were more linear and that had me moving into complex challenges. And so you're going to see in this book there's plenty of examples with clear illustrations that you can find out and about. So this book, you could practice in the studio and then go find actual things out in your neighborhood or your town. I love these little examples, and this isn't just watercolor, it's a couple other mediums. I know some of my students like to work in other mediums other than watercolor. Here's a great example of a bridge. Come on, that's what I'm talking about. Perspective made easy. Book number 2, The Carlson's Guide to Landscape Painting. This famous American painter and teacher of landscapes is someone just profound to have. This book, you need to have it just like you need cold water in your refrigerator on a hot summer day. You're not just going to learn landscape, you're going to learn the inside thoughts of the way an artist thinks. There are 58 illustrations in this book. And to get an insight from an amazing painter that showed in museums, who worked on canvas, who shares his palette and his brushes and materials, even though this isn't watercolor, this gets you thinking about what are you using? And it got me thinking about what I'm using for my brushes. Why do I use this palette? What am I taking with me when I'm outdoors painting? And I love just the illustrations that are just so classical. And this really helped my drawing, and this helped the way I can see and edit in my paintings. So if you're looking for a book that you just don't want to blast through and read it really fast, actual book that you will pull out when you run into problems like, I don't know how to get these clouds figured out, and read about it. You know, the wonderful thing is this is a great book to read at your leisure when you're just wanting to wind down on, a Sunday or before bed. This is a great book to have actually by your nightstand where you can just set yourself up to dream about painting. Book number 3, Mastering Atmosphere and Mood in Watercolor with Joseph Zbukvic. Now just caution yourself. I'm going to tell you about a book I really enjoy and where I struggled that I needed to learn how to do edges. I needed to learn how to look at things more tonal. I needed to look at things that were, that supported the painting and be able to make final decisions. And, like when you find a vintage book, it's a treasure. And Joseph Zbukvic is a very unique and wonderful painter. There's no one else like Joseph. And I want you to kind of embrace an opportunity to really go from beginner to advanced. This book will teach you and push you to learn water management. It'll teach you how to do paintings in stages. If you're that loosey-goosey person and you need some structure, you want to get to know how to draw successfully, a good composition. If you want to know how to sketch for paintings, even his wonderful setups here, like looking at how to even go outside and sketch. He teaches you how to even fix things. It's quite an amazing, accomplished artist. Joseph Zbukvic is one of the world's masters in watercolor among many watercolor painters. So if you find yourself leaning towards being a tonalist, I would highly suggest this book. Here's some of his palette at this time of creating this book. Now just understand that this was written in a certain time of Joseph Zbukvic's life, and it is not completely current. Look at that handsome guy. So this book will change your thoughts and how you are using your brush, your paper, your setup for outside, even the way you even approach sketching. I like the examples in this book. There's so many. There's an example in every chapter. Alright, good luck on finding this book. Book number 4 by Thomas W. Schaller. Architecture of Light, Watercolor Paintings by a Master. The cover just makes you want to pull it off the shelf and head right over to the register. What a beautiful cover. I'm so grateful for Thomas. He actually signed this book to me. I'm very grateful. This is a huge part of my journey that I get to share with you. This book helped me in so many aspects of my life. He even goes over one of my favorite parts of his book that he really wanted to do was that you can find your own voice as an artist. I'm not quite sure if I said that correctly. To find one's voice is to find your own unique style. We could learn from many artists. Thomas shows you the principles and the keys to design. He has a wonderful background as an architect, and he took on watercolor and he ran with it. These paintings are rich in color. The quality of this book printing is lovely, in my opinion. If you've seen this book, if you own this book, put this in the comments. I'm curious who owns this book, and is this a book that you would like to own yourself? You know, the wonderful thing that I needed help with, that I have a heart and desire for, is buildings, but not have an architectural background. So if I'm wanting to grow in painting man-made objects versus land and sea and trees, this is a wonderful book on how to paint those lovely things. If you're struggling listening to your paintings or knowing how to create dynamic light, this is the book for you. Book number 5, Plein Air, Light and Color by Ian Stewart. Another book that's a must-have for your watercolor needs. If you're looking for a book to activate you and get you outdoors, out of the studio, out plein air painting, and you want to paint light and you want to paint color, add this book to your library. You know, this book changed me in a time when I didn't quite, spend the amount of time I needed to when it came to color. I don't really think much about color. And he goes over supplies, he goes over what the right materials to take with you, the watercolor sketchbook to take with you when you go on a trip. This guy travels the world, and he puts it all in this book. And this book is actually more affordable than when I bought it. Definitely right now on Amazon. I was really surprised. And so you've got to grab this book. I've met Ian. He's answered my questions when I've emailed him. He's a very comical, but I gotta stop myself. I gotta talk about the book. This book, I've actually had to just go ahead and make notes in this book. You're gonna see my own notes in this book. He said, write down notes and take notes and mark it up. And so I went for it, and I really enjoyed the exercises in here. There's mixes with Daniel Smith paints that I really enjoyed. And you can get a good sense of who Ian is in this book. He's put so much time and effort to help you get a lot further in your watercolor. So kudos to this wonderful man who created this book to help you get through the hard times and frustration times of watercolor. Number next, we have Color and Light by James Gurney, the creator of Dinotopia. Let's dive into this. This book is for everyone. I don't care if you're an abstract painter, if you're a realist, if you are a person that does chalk on the sidewalk at festivals. This is a book you have to have. It's like going back to art school. The vocabulary is very extensive in this book. We have this lovely opportunity to get some technical information and some strong color. The printing of this book, I looked at this book online to get it for like Kindle or something, but to have this book in front of you with the beautiful, amazing color and quality, I seriously was like the kid in Christmas Story that wanted a BB gun for his Christmas gift. And this was like waiting for this to arrive at my front door with Amazon Prime. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, and when it finally came, I just ran to my room in the studio just to get through and look. But I just know there's like a lifetime for this book. Again, this is just like the other book I shared earlier. When you're going to run into a problem in your painting, you'll be able to pull this off of your shelf and read. Look at this amazing diagram just on color. The pigment information. There's just information after information in this book. Just to warn you, this is book number 3. So I grew up with book number 1, which is great. Book number 2 is not quite in my library because I can get it at the library. So if someone does want to give it to me, great. If you have an extra copy, wonderful. Signed copy would be even better. But anyways, as you can tell by my excitement, I am sharing with you some of the big players on my bookshelf. So grab this book. It's going to help you not for just one season of your life, but an extensive part of your life. I hope this was really helpful. If you are familiar with James Gurney, put it down in the comments. Oh my gosh, I think I see one of his dragons coming right now. And the one you've been waiting for, drumroll, Betty Edwards' book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. This was a requested book in college that you had to read. This has also been a book at the bookstores where Betty had actually showed up one time for a book signing. I've seen this book used in numerous groups for leadership. If you need a book to help you get going, if you are now just retired, this is the book for you. If you don't know how to draw whatsoever, you can't even draw a straight line, this is the book for you. If you want to understand how to grow in art, these exercises are wonderful. I would say put in your calendar that you would have a date with yourself to do these book exercises. You can learn so much on how to get what's out of your head through your hand and onto paper. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this book review, go ahead and smash that like button. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit subscribe so you can get more of these book reviews and other tutorials and demos on watercolor and gouache and water media. If you have any questions, please go down and put a comment and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. If you'd like to get your hands on these books, go down into the More section and there'll be links for you on where to get these books on Amazon Prime. If you'd like to see some paintings, go over here and click over here. If you'd like a demonstration on watercolor and gouache. See you. Bye now.